Welcome to Modern Management of the Older Adult, brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence.
Everyone, welcome to the MMOA podcast. My name is Mayordomo. I'm a physical therapist in the Bay Area in California, and I am a TA with the Older Adult Division of the Institute of Clinical Excellence. Today, we are going to be talking about what Sardinia taught me about longevity. So I had the opportunity to go on vacation to Sardinia this summer with my family, with my mom, my brother, and my mom's friend. And we went to go visit my mom's friend who lives in Italy, but spends her summers in Sardinia. The main thing I learned was that health and longevity can mean something a little simpler than what we are shown on social media and what we are taught. It doesn't have to mean a 2-hour routine, like morning routine. It doesn't have to mean things like red light therapy or just whatever we're being told. It can be something a little simpler than that. So today we're going to be talking about that in terms of community and social connection. We're going to be talking about fresh local foods, whole foods, and we're going to talk about a low stress environment and, of course, physical activity. So first, community and social connection is huge. It was huge in Sardinia. Everywhere I went in Sardinia, people would be just chatting it up with their neighbors to say hi and check in with how they're doing. They would sit outside and have aperitivo, so like their evening snack time together. And it was just so nice to see people spending time with the people around them. For example, like my mom's friend, she, besides having us over, she had a few neighbor friends over while we were there. And instead of rushing through dinner, we would have dinner and spend 2 hours there. Like we would have an appetizer and then we would have dinner, and then her husband would cut bread and cheese for us. And we would just try to spend time with each other without being on our phones, without thinking about the next thing that we had to do. It was all about just being present and connecting with others. So I also walked around the beach a lot and would see a lot of older adults just hanging out by the beach, chatting with their friends for hours. I would see multi-generational, just like their grandparents hanging out with their grandkids on the beach and swimming and hanging out with them. I saw people taking long walks after dinner time with their family and friends with no like real agenda, but just to spend time with each other and just be present. And then just a lot of people are just enjoying time in nature, because the beach was right there where we were. So a lot of people spent time at the beach under some shade, just spending time with the people that they care about and the people that they want to hang out with. And sometimes I feel like that can be so different than how we live in the city, where everything is go, 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 everything is constant movement, rather than enjoying the moment with people and just not necessarily worrying about the next thing on our to-do list. So that is one of the first things that I noticed. We visited a village up in the mountains called Perdas de Fogu, and that is one of the places that we know to have a higher concentration of centenarians. And it's up in the mountains of Sardinia. So, it was a small community, but we kind of went in around nap time, like siesta time. But when they got up, you could tell they were out and about in the community. They would sit with their friends and just hang out in silence or talking. So I feel like social connection is so, so big. And I think if we could do more with our patients to try to find them resources on how they can connect with others, because a lot of our older adults in the US are living by themselves, either in their own home or in independent living facilities. Sometimes those living facilities have different events and stuff, but sometimes they won't want to go. So we could be the ones that encourages them to check it out and see if there's something that interests them so that they can meet new people, especially if their spouse has passed away, or if their family just isn't around enough. Like, it's good, really good for our older adults to be around others, and their peers, because they're going through the same season of life. So we can point them in the direction of like fitness classes with people their same age. I think honestly that's why fitness classes, this is a little bit of a tangent, but why fitness classes for older adults are so important, and why I'm trying to create something like that here, is because it connects people with people they might not have met just out in the community who are going through a similar season of life, and they can talk about their grandkids, or like when they're having hard times, like there's somebody there who might have gone through that and understands what they're going through. And if they have like a similar diagnosis or like need help finding a doctor, like they have people who they trust the opinion of. So community is so big. So if we can do or play a role in finding them resources or things like a fitness class, or like a hiking or walking group, or just something that gets them out meeting new people, that can make a huge impact on their longevity and just their overall health, because that'll probably get them out and moving and just doing so much more. So social connection is huge. Next, they have a huge abundance and availability of fresh and local food and minimally processed foods. So on vacations, what I like to do is check out the grocery stores in the area just to see what they have, like what the local stuff is, and like what kind of fruits and vegetables they have and what snacks they have. So I checked out a grocery store in Sardinia, and they had a ton of fresh bread, and you can tell it wasn't just like Wonder Bread. It was like a whole grain bread, lots of fruit and vegetable options that were local to the area. And I swear the fruits and vegetables there tasted so different, so much better, so fresh. And there was not that I saw anyway, but there was not one fast food joint in sight that I found. So their diet consisted of a lot of whole foods, not a lot of junk. Even though, like, when we think about blue zones and centenarians, I think a lot of, when we had that documentary back then about blue zones, and the guy was trying to say like, oh, it's really the purple sweet potatoes. That's what is contributing to their longevity. But I think we have to like zoom out on that a little bit and really think about, okay, is it one dang purple sweet potato, or is it an accumulation of everything they eat that has a lot of variety, so that can help with their gut health, and just a lot of different nutrients that they're getting from their foods. So every meal we had like some kind of salad with greens and lots of tomatoes and cucumbers and lots of olives and really good olive oil on all the food, and just like fresh cheese and all of that. So their availability of local foods, I think, definitely contributes. They have a low stress environment. So the way they live definitely seemed a lot different than how we live, well, at least where I'm from, but different than a lot of how the United States lives. So a lot of the stores in Sardinia, they would open around 8 a.m. They would close down middle of the day for siesta. So usually around 1 p.m. and then they would open again an hour or two later. I think closer to it, like 2 to 2.5 hours later. And so they would open again around like 2:30, 3 p.m. And then they would stay open for a couple hours until like 6 or 7. And yeah, they have this baked in time during the middle of the day where everyone takes a nap and just relaxes. And so anytime, like when we were spending time with my mom's friend, once it hit around that time, like 1, 2, it would literally be nap time, and they would just lounge on the chairs and relax and not be on their phones and not like scroll away. It was resting time for sure. And then usually they would have a snack time. They called it aperitivo at 6 p.m. where they would order a drink, enjoy snacks, hang out with their neighbors and friends. And And the first time we did this, so we were on like a beach boat tour thing where we went to a bunch of beaches, and we were driving back from that. It was about like 5:30, 5:45. And instead of just like powering through to head back to their place, we literally stopped at a cafe where we just ordered like drinks and we had snacks, because that is snack time and that's not a time that they usually miss. And then usually dinner is around 9 p.m. So a little bit later, which I think I think a lot of the times people are like, don't eat dinner late. Like, you have to be able to digest, but these people eat dinner so late, but they're like not rushing through it. They're taking their time. They're enjoying the time spent with others. And it's different. It's definitely different than what we do. And this just kind of shows us that just because something is different doesn't mean it's wrong. Like, there isn't anything fancy about what they're doing. It's just different. And I would say lower stress than what we sometimes have. And a lot of the stuff they do in their everyday is stuff that we can recommend our patients do as well. So maybe taking a little more time to rest during the middle of the day, a little time to talk to people that we care about or people that we like hanging out with, instead of just eating lunch by ourselves maybe. And lastly, physical activity is baked into their day. So when we visited Perdas de Fogo, where there's a high concentration of centenarians up in the mountains of Sardinia, their environment made it so that they needed to walk up hilly streets. They needed to walk up and down the stairs because there wasn't an escalator or elevator present. They needed to walk on the uneven roads, and they needed to walk to the grocery store to get stuff and carry their groceries back home. So it's not like they had a gym present in this village, but everything they had to do through the day required movement. There wasn't just an easy way out to getting through their day. Like, they had to work to get things. And I mean, even though they could still drive around the village, sometimes it just seemed more convenient for them to leave their car somewhere and just walk to the store or walk to where they're going to get their aperitivo. And in modern society, I think there are just so many conveniences that make it so easy for us to avoid movement, that when we talk to our patients about getting more movement in, it ends up being, for some people who just, some people who just don't get that movement in the day, ends up being us trying to navigate, okay, how can we incorporate movement back into your day? Because now you're getting your groceries delivered. Now your kids are running errands for you instead of you running errands and going on, like, and getting steps throughout the day. And like, just things are getting delivered, or you're not taking the stairs anymore because like the knees hurt, or there's just too much weakness because they just haven't done it in a while. So I feel like in modern society, there's so many conveniences. There's so many conveniences that make it so easy for us to avoid movement. Escalators, elevators, parking right in front of where we need to go instead of walking. And convenience takes out the difficulty or the labor of like how we can get physical activity in our lives without working out. So, and when that happens, that's what kind of takes away our independence and starts to decondition us, because we're just not challenging ourselves throughout the day. Maybe not making our own food because we decide to go for fast food instead. And it starts to make it so that we're living kind of on autopilot instead of challenging our bodies naturally in our everyday life. So I think what I got from being in Sardinia is that things don't have to be crazy fancy. Our recommendations don't have to be crazy to be effective in how we get our patients healthier and striving for longevity. It can be something as easy as recommending something community related where they have more of that social connection with their peers, or even just recommending they call a friend so that they haven't talked to in a while, or meeting up for dinner with a friend or with their family once in a while, so that they have more time spent with people rather than being by themselves. I think Sardinia was such a good example of how simple it can be to strive for longevity rather than like finding the next new crazy high-tech gadget that could help us with that, or the next medication or pill that can help us with that. For Sardinia, that meant community and social connection honestly played such a huge role in their lives. There's an abundance of whole foods and not a lot of fast food joints at all that I saw. There's plenty of downtime that contributes to a low stress environment rather than them just like rushing through everything in their everyday lives. And I think and lastly, the physical activity was baked into their day, because a lot of them aren't necessarily, there was no gym at Prados de Fogo, but there were just streets to be walked, hilly streets. They're uneven, so they had to work a little harder to get around. There were stairs, not elevators everywhere. So it's different. There's no high-tech gadgets, no Ubers in that area, nothing that necessarily makes their lives easier. It makes them have to work a bit, but I would say kind of in a simple way. So when you are working with your patients and they don't look like they're thriving in their current environment, I would recommend that they move to Sardinia. No, I'm just kidding. Not move to Sardinia. But I think going to a place that really differs in how we live really teaches us a lot. So you could recommend something like getting outside in nature, adding more whole foods to their diet or more color to their plates, calling a family or friend to hang out just because. It doesn't have to be because it's a birthday. It doesn't have to be because you're celebrating something, but just because you want to see them. It could be helping them and connecting them to resources like a fitness class or walking or hiking groups or community talks. All of those things can help in improving our patients' longevity and health. So if you want to learn more about how social connection plays a role in our older adults' health, check out our live courses and our level 1 and level 2 online. Level 1 is currently already running, but our live courses that are coming up, we have one in Burlington, New Jersey and Scottsdale, Arizona, September 27th to 28th. And also be in Salt Lake City, October 18th to 19th. Level 2 is starting next week. So if you've taken level 1 and you want to learn more, this is where we dive into more special populations of older adults. Like, we go through neuro, osteoporosis, OA, all of those things. And that starts September 18th. So next week. All right. I hope you all have an amazing day and I will see you all soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the MMOA podcast. If you found this helpful, please share with someone that could benefit. And if you're looking for more practical content to help you better serve older adults, head over to www.mmoa.online, where you can learn more about our free resources, our community, continuing education courses, and our certification. Once again, that's www.mmoa.online. Thanks for listening.